Welcome everyone to the latest and greatest edition of Most Sick YouTube live streaming setup here, live with our PS3 here, running Linux as you see. Unfortunately can't screen capture this because don't have the most amazing screen capture setup for that just right now, but anyway it looks better certainly here with live setup here. Nice backdrop of PS3 goodness here, all the nice, most amazing mechanical keyboard, most amazing PlayStation certainly here, cell broadband engine. Amazing progress here as you see, running here with X. Also right now not my most amazing driver, this is the frame buffer. Need to get this running anyway, a little bit of tiny little, you guessed it there, but also didn't even spend any time and effort except the tiny little redrawing glitches there, but even made a pretty nice little background. And yes, it's not the entirely perfectly right background for that, but anyway, hey, at least it names here correctly T2 SDE. Amazing stuff, right? I, as usual, spend way too much time each day to make all the stuff even more amazing. Certainly, if we continue at this pace, T2 soon will be the certainly most amazing Linux distribution for everything anyway, including cross compilation, so also drop frames. So yeah, internet total garbage now with this virus outbreak stuff here. Apparently everyone watching some video because I can't even stream with 4 Mbit anymore. Even with 3.75 Mbit we have freaking 10% drop frames, so already whopping 496 or something frames. Anyway, yeah, all the stuff running natively. Some things to summarize besides certainly that is a pretty cool thick setup here. I hope you agree. So yeah, quite some stuff built. I also have, as I said, fixed this cross compilation stuff, so now this GCC stuff does build correctly. We also just fixed here some vintage decade-old lib, what was it, probably multimedia lib. Pack 2 for Ultivec stuff, because whoever, certainly nobody much builds this in T2 with Ultivec, so that would be libmpeg 2. I only built this for the Amiga emulator. Unfortunately, that turned out to require, even this FSUAE requires JIT, so I can show you that in a second. That is here fixed, libmpeg 2. MPEG 2 for PowerPC with Ultivec. And fortunately, probably it might want a password, so I need to shortly yeah, but otherwise, which scene was it, by the way? That was the scene. So yeah, pretty amazing. So next is, well, now that we have all the basic stuff and a pretty screen desktop background stuff running, the next thing certainly is 3D. So basically the only thing that is not amazing is 3D. So yeah, but that will be a humongous project. Do I have any other working changes of? Yeah, so the only also this this hotfix we can remove, that is fixed already in the meantime. And if you're wondering if you can chill here with this track point, yeah, can chill. This track point a little bit sensitive, so but otherwise amazing of this Tech Yota to right previous video. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this. I certainly do. The next thing, so one thing learned, emerging here from source of course takes forever. Basically most of the days this is an AMD thread-ripping Epic Horizon, builds this in 5 minutes, and the PlayStation 3, the one PowerPC core is busy 5 hours. But so this probably means I most likely have to cross-compile more, because otherwise it's not the most fun. Speaking about not the most fun, I thought I run something light like the Amiga emulator. Unfortunately that didn't build, even after I fixed libmpeg 2 there for Ultivec. to, yeah, also, yeah, up and done there, right? libmpeg2 not touched since 2008 or something. But yeah, amazing open source project. So FSUA stuff, unfortunately that's jitting, as we see here. So JIT is not supported on PowerPC, so as expected, that is of course a problem also for the Nintendo 64 emulator. I'm not really sure, by the way, do we have this in emulator? I hope FSUA, and don't have a conf there, so, but no, so by the way, this is live on the, natively on the PS3, right, because that's amazing. Download mirror FSUA, also, yeah, probably best with X and F, certainly. And I'm not sure what JIT it supports, most likely usually submit JIT, of course, just in time compilation. In my previous video I have say my own super tiny JIT, and I slightly wonder where that would be, what they have Lua in this. There, also libmpeg2, interesting. I slightly wonder, so we could check, but so basically I just wanted to say, hey, stuff is working, more stuff is working. T2 is now even more amazing. Of course, this PS3 stuff here also fixes stuff in general, so even compiling this for SGI MIPS and all the ARM MIPS and RISC-V embedded stuff is more amazing. So that certainly is in general helpful. And let's see, does it have some JIT stuff? I wonder, sometimes they have disable. Hey, they have disable. So also here, unfinished stuff. The question is, of course, without JIT, often its stuff is super slow, like 100 times slower. JIT, of course, used to speed stuff up. So I slightly wonder, probably we see this in the makefile here somewhere. And somewhere meaning wherever, where would be FPU was given for. I slightly wonder what not supported. Of course, I don't have this immediately visible here because it would be too easy. Do they have some README or something? But usually, so what I'm looking for is this JIT stuff, but yeah, whatever. So that would be anything with JIT. I hope they named it like that. And we got source JIT. And they have here x86 as per usual. Actually not the smallest, actually surprisingly C++, at least from the file name. But yeah, JIT compiler to, yeah, so this is x86 only. How C++y is it? And are useless. Anyway, so we can even make this package a little bit better. So of course, porting JIT, we would need to port JIT. That certainly is months, if not years work of getting into the source. Certainly will not do that, except we reach, yeah, if this video gets 100,000 likes, then we do it. Otherwise, maybe for the 1 million subscriber special. But what we will do soon is more JIT stuff of our own, because I want some most minimal previous video JIT without all those 20 whatever thousand lines of code, reusable JIT. But what we can do for now is we can see how far it compiles if we disable this. So we do, also this was the wrong file, and we have desk here. And so I've right now, I think, an American layout. Darn. So that is O for conf, and then we would have if arch. I'll give you, need pattern matching, so double this for arch. Equals x86 anything, then var append extra conf opt, and that would be, did we copy this? Yes, we copied this. Amazing. So we can try how far we are getting. Why do I not have this in here? Whatever that was verbose for FS UAE. For something as low performance as an Amiga, I would hope the PowerPC element there is fast enough, but you never know. And thankfully, at least they have this, disabling this for exactly this use case if you run it on your SG Octane or PS3. And then we can see how this is going. But yeah, from the compile performance, certainly it's not magically becoming here some epic thread ripping whatsoever. And I actually checked earlier today, so the pipeline stages of this are 21 pipeline stages without much speculation and whatnot. So it's performance-wise, it's a little bit of a Pentium 4 situation, if I may say so. But yeah, let's see. So welcome everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Amazing that you are here. I've been following PS3 Linux since I did the story on it back in 2017. That's amazing. Welcome. As latest release is 3.02. Git or I'm confused. What did I hear? Here we built this. So basically this is let's see, we will see the version in a moment, but yeah, as you see, performance-wise, yeah, compiling. This is also one other. I previously said I don't want to cross-compile more because it takes so much time to maintain and fix all the cross-compile stuff. But given how long the stuff compiles, I probably have to swallow the bitter apple here and get. So this is 3.0. What? They have a new version or what? Latest release is 3.02. That is cool. Then let's cancel this instantly. Not sure why we don't have this. Let's see if this updates. Oh, always amazing. UAE 3.02. Maybe they changed the download location or something of that sort, or that's coming from. No, actually, that might be coming down the pipe if we are lucky. And we are. Thanks for that. And for the full experience, JIT is not really required. What do you mean with full experience? Well, certainly I would hope that a 3 GHz, although 21. The problem is, of course, the long pipeline. They made this similar to the Pentium 4 of reaching high clock frequencies, similar to our own RISC-V work here on the FPGA stuff. And yeah, there you see it's for all the P3 fans performance. Yeah, if you saw the thread ripping epic AMD Ryzen there to do this here in a snap, although this is set standard recompression, certainly one of the more slower things. So here, let's try to emerge. So also first on this channel, not really sure how many people tried this. The problem is, of course, also that this, if we are the first to run this on Big Endian, if it even runs, which we will also not do today, then it can easily fail randomly with memory access corruption whatsoever. With Endian, previous of my videos, Endian is, of course, for multi-byte word, double word and stuff, how this is stored in memory from address 0, byte address like Big Endian, the natural way, or little endian like reverse. So if you have a hex dump of your memory, it doesn't look right because it's all swapped. So if we are the first to try this on Big Endian, it could even totally fail on us. And that's what often happens when Intel x86 people program something. But yeah, also next we really need to get rid of this stupid warnings there of new stuff. But yeah, we're getting there. Just slightly wonder the other day, also here, performance. If it's not hardware accelerated, then that is a performance. I slightly wonder, by the way, do we have what was it? CH tool, was it list or info or usage or whatever? Anyway, wondering the other day I saw some Bluetooth controller failure, something that could be related to this newer DECR or out of sync whatsoever, or running in GameOS, or sometimes this stuff in Linux does not yet fully perfectly work because GameOS. But stability, I actually had this P3 running overnight, emerging some stuff, including even CMake. Certainly, actually, I wonder how long did performance. Yeah, you get the idea. But also, should I zoom in? Nobody complains, right? Let's shortly suspend this. Less var ADM. So, for example, compile time wise, if you build major packages, then it compiled from maybe 3 in the night. So yeah, CMake, no joking, on this 21 pipeline stages out in order and stuff, only hyper threaded from 3 to 6. No kidding, 3 hours of, this is also why I don't like this code bloat packages of that sake, but yeah, you probably guess the idea. But yeah, libmpeg 2 fixed for Altivec, cross-compiled stuff more fixed. Basically, T2 getting more amazing, basically the greatest Linux. If other Linux distributions continue to regress their stuff, then at this rate here live on YouTube, at least the most raw and most vanilla Linux, certainly the only running on the P3 and SG Octane for that matter. So probably next doing the same for Octane, because certainly amazingness. But if you think this is already, the performance aged not the most well, it was already not the most snappy in 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10, and now a decade later, bloat, compiler size and stuff, and even on the AMD Ryzen, it's not amazing, this serialized configure stuff of running all this stuff. But in summary, I most likely need to swallow the sore apple there and pre-compile more, cross-compile more, maybe even up to GTK. Back in the day, a couple of years ago, GTK plus cross-compiled, meaning that we build this on the AMD Ryzen and ship it then, because GTK likely building 1 hour. This also means eventually we need to get this Rust and Firefox stuff to cross-compile, because if you try to rebuild Rust in, if CMake already needs 3 hours, then Rust easily needs 24 hours. And either I need to buy a data center IBM server for that. Also, this failed now with JIT is not supported. Did we not disable that? Is it? So this is why I usually build this cross-compile this stuff on. When people ask me why do I cross-compile this on some AMD Ryzen, this is why. If this fails, then all the time again for reaching the state. I actually thought we had running. Did we have a typo there in? Apparently only live on this channel with. I have here. I wanted to type here the reverse because this is. I could match that. If so much to that var append extra conf opt disable JIT. That looks finally so much to only. But nobody of you spotted this typo, so thanks for that. Probably grab my phone and check if I got an email here between. Also, if you are into security news, they are live on the other channel. We just had this weekly IT news stuff, and otherwise that's mostly it for today. And I have emails, and even good emails, amazing stuff. Thanks to our recurring Exact Scan customers for financing all this IT education and research Certainly shout out on the sponsor extract code. Don't delay. Try paperless extract scan office stuff today. I heard the most amazing performant and portable document capture software for searchable PDF and most amazing professional document scanning out there. So that's basically it. Really curious if we can play at least Amiga stuff. As usual, leave in the comments below what you want to see most. Nintendo 64 emulator stuff, certainly only if we port this JIT stuff there. Otherwise, performance certainly not amazing. And uptime wise, we are uptime here quite a while. I only rebooted because I wasn't sure if I leave it running over the day. So also uptime here. So even with the reboot up 8 hours, so stability wise not too bad. Of course right now not the RSX driver that we need to re-enable next. Therefore that performance. But yeah, actually wanted to quickly play some game, but so much too. Anyway, the performance of course stems from the SPEs here, this additional processing elements that are kind of GPU single instruction multiple data there, and that are not used for regular compilation because all of this stuff runs on the PowerPC element. This is why this is not as performant as other video decoding, encoding, or other particle generating fun tessellation and what other fun illumination effects game developers would usually run there on the cell. But yeah, leave in the comments below what games you want to see. Certainly not Nintendo 64, but maybe this would run also. Actually, I slightly wonder, did I successfully build, I at least attempted to emerge DOS box, but there's always a first, like probably never run this UAE, also always wonder how to pronounce this stuff. On PowerPC, this is why probably only ever tested by me on x86, but that is not uncommon in other distributions that do not even run on PowerPC, and so that was DOSBox. I think Hayes is even built, so yeah. Leave in the comments below good old vintage DOS games, Amiga, or maybe other SNES or NES emulator goodness there. And that's basically it, unless you want to see me sitting here and waiting for this compilation. Also, do we have more comments? Yeah, Amiga emulator regarding the title. Someone watched Louis Rossmann and search for new space series. Yes and no. Actually, the If I Make It Any Nicer, that is way before the Louis Rossmann. Louis Rossmann said this before. Louis Rossmann was one of those that inspired me to do our own YouTube channel. I thought if they can do it, we can do it too. And hey, we configured there with JIT disabled, amazing stuff, right? So leave in the comments below, should we try the Amiga emulator on the Octane or PS3 and which games? Amiga, DOS, you name it. Otherwise, yes, this Louis Rossmann stuff is way before his series there, his real estate series. This was already the recurring gag of his previous shithole there of landlord saying, if I make this shithole here any nicer, then you can't afford it anymore. Slightly wonder how long this will compile. Actually, yeah, recurring theme, why does it, don't tell me it, what does it configure now? Sub-project or the same shit all over again? Yeah, but also a tiny joke of, I actually mean it, of how much time people spend in their PS3 homebrew community, or here's this T2 cross-compilation stuff, that other famous people tell me I do nothing so much to do nothing, only make it better each and every day. If I make it any better with amazing screenshot, do I even have a, probably we can, actually I think, yeah, if I make this any nicer with amazing screenshots, artworks, installation and stuff even more perfect, then yeah, then you probably couldn't afford it anymore. So yay, we're compiling, and as usual, recurring, not even on the only on this epic AMD Ryzen thing there, but even here configure much slower than running all this individual C or C++ compilation. This is actually C++. But yeah, 2020 we have a Linux professional grade, military grade Linux runtime, everything written in C, a recurring theme here, and yeah, C kernel, C runtime, C bash, C everything, C video codec, and C windowing system, and the emulator freaking professional, maybe more maintainable C++ code base. So yeah, anyway, so what else do we have here? Lightwave JIT isn't really required. Did you run this, exactly this? Yeah, so I mean the Amiga something of, how much was it, 8 megahertz or 16? I never had one. And hey, we have 21. This is of course the YouTube thing. If you make here a fun little fun stream hanging here like on an 18T C++ book cover, then recreating here fun little Unix book covers, then more people tune in than when you make professional microkernel discussion or RISC-V stuff. But yeah, anyway, highly appreciated. Probably the next videos we have to do other stuff, because otherwise we overload all the subscribers with PS3 stuff. But yeah, the only thing better than watching this would be if it has a percentage there. But also anyway, fun to chat here live on YouTube. What do we have here? Any thoughts on libimpact 2 is... I wonder why libimpact 2 is required. Yeah, I wonder too. No idea what they use it for. We could probably theoretically also scripts cleanup already. And also how many drop frames. Yeah, we stream this super low. I stream here with 4.75 Mbit, and we have, so I mean, there you see this virus outbreak stuff. Everyone sitting at home watching some video, hopefully this channel, certainly you probably want to share, like, and subscribe for that. But with we have a business DOCSIS cable garbage here, and often it even worked. I mean, 75% of the time we can stream here fine with 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 Mbit. We pay here for, I think, 400 Mbit downstream, 32 Mbit upstream, and we are not even, we can't even live stream with, what did I say, 4.75, I think, or 3.75, and in, was it 3? Wait a second, I can actually check that. If we click here and then, actually 3, yeah, not even 4. I mean, this is hilarious how overloaded the internet is. What a congestion on this shared DOCSIS cable. 7 points, so with 3.75 Mbit on a 32 nominal paid for 32 Mbit, 7.1%, 3,700 whatever drop frames. It's hilarious. Yeah, so what's our performance? Yeah, we just hanging around here admiring this amazing setup of inspiring you what to do. Yeah, test emerging. They're also showing you, presenting the latest update. Uptime 8 hours, emerging from source last night and today. Fun little, also made here nice little background here of PS3. Maybe I actually need some professional T2 artwork here to better present and promote here this increasingly amazing Linux stuff. So you're waiting for the Amiga emulator, and otherwise we could shortly take a look here also for what the freaking heck it is using. Libimpact 2. It's really in there though, and must be the Graver has 724 mbit down and 750 mbit up. Yeah, a little bit jealous of you. If I would not want to move out of this office in the future, so we have some long-term plans, then I would install a cable, but I'm not installing here a cable for thousands of euro if we anyway, what is even the... So yeah, where is it even being used? That is a little bit small to read from here though. So it's definitely in there. I have no idea what they're using this. There's some CDR. They're using this for CD32. There you have it, live on this channel. CD32 emulation for proper playback of this amazing, or rather not, I heard, CD32 titles. Yeah, otherwise, it's a pity that, of course, I have here plenty of memory. You can also check the usage. That is, yeah, some swap used, obviously, and yeah, thanks to this tool, developer tool, of some 211 megabyte cached, otherwise for you playing along at home, a little bit memory limited, so compiling there even less amazing. But with this half a gigabyte, as much as the Linksys previous video, WRT router, not too shabby there. Theoretically, you could theoretically use it as a thin client, or even, the problem is that software bloat, right? If software would not be so bloated, then you could easily use it. The problem, of course, with modern GNOME software and stuff, memory hogs and stuff. So, comments doing during the confinement. So, are you doing so? We're doing fine. We can still go out, thankfully, here. But thanks for asking. I hope you're doing all fine. And but thanks for asking, how are you all doing? I hope you're doing fine. And I hope it remains so that we at least can go out here, because otherwise that would be, yeah. The Graver, again, I called this out already. So internet, of course, so probably you have amazing fiber. The problem is certainly also, if this greedy companies would not save on their backbone infrastructure. So also they told us forever here, since we have this since a year, they told us resegmentation. So they already allegedly, according to the phone calls there, they know even before this outbreak, this was already, the network segment of this block was already congested, which is of course totally not cool for taking our money and then not delivering our paid business bandwidth. But yeah, shared medium, so good old-fashioned coax cable of 10 base, what was it even, of Ethernet 10 base, was it 10 base T or whatever that stuff was called, the thin Ethernet after thick Ethernet of, yeah, not the most amazing. So let's see, familiar with iBooks by any chance? Yes, I am. I had an iBook, rocked this, not even did I had two? No, I had one iBook, 800 megahertz. The cool ones, unfortunately USB 1 like 2002, 2003. The cool ones with fully transparent white. Later were the pure white models that in my opinion looked less attractive, looked more cheap. So yeah, unfortunately USB 1, if it would have had USB 2 I might have kept it, but back in the day, student, I sold it probably to finance my G5 or something. So the Graver says CDR32, nothing more than an A1200. Yes, I know this. So yeah, CD32 with 1200 or 1200 with an CD-ROM without a keyboard. And yeah, also the games I heard released at the point Commodore near bankruptcy, and they could the Godslop was lost in the US. Mostly shovelware. Yeah, so I never liked those games the most. Fun fact, I didn't even I didn't even like the PC games that were mostly video sequences. For example, this Myst, I think I found super boring, I think. But leave me in the comments below what you think. It's mostly like video sequence titles of left, right, back and forth. Yeah. The Graver says he has a CD32 in the attic. Should bet sometime, see if it even works. Yeah, that certainly. Yeah, if you're trapped at home, then this fun stuff certainly recommended. Carlos wants to see Crysis running on T2 SDE. Can it run Crysis? Yeah, certainly not with emulation. Do you mean Crysis on a PS3 or something else? A fun fact we can see, but I also really go home soon now. You see the compile time, not making this up. This is even already using 2 threads of hyperthreading. What we could do actually is Crysis. I wanted to see actually how Quake Arena runs on the Sony Vaio P previous videos. Let me the microphone cable long enough for running here through this many camera setups here. Office getting a little bit crowded of so much to picking something up from the office corner behind the camera scene with probably next I need to invest in as professional wireless microphones as other New York repair people have. So I wonder if this runs Crysis. Previous video Sony Vaio P, and we have this already installed as this binary only junk that we theoretically all of my hobby projects that I try to build an audience with. But yeah, in this time, maybe actually, you know what, it starts to compile, maybe we commit this already. We anyway need to test it another day because it's getting late today. But yeah, maybe I commit this already here live from the PS3. So commit fs UAE, and then Sony Vaio P. Yeah, so this is Atom 550 set. Previous video with this PowerVR PulsePo GMA 500 graphics that has no proper Linux driver, and only recently, previous videos, I installed this binary only junk. And so yeah, that's a spec, not amazing. Certainly not, probably doesn't run Crysis well. I think probably even Crysis, as vintage as it is, I guess even a decade ago it probably had higher specs than Atom set with PulsePo graphics. But in any case, would be interesting to see how that runs, if at all, especially. Maybe, yeah, so maybe leave it in the comments below using Wine for Crysis there on the Sony Vaio P or the fun stuff. So yeah, oops, also too much, I pressed your space for moving it a little bit, and fixed it build without JIT on non x86 that. So yeah, another commit coming live from this PS3, so yeah, commit that with certainly my name, and let's switch to that. Which scene was it? I guess oops, that. So yeah, this is still building, but in, yeah, probably on the long title. Yeah, this is Julian says this is a Brazilian thing, but also that I'm fully aware it's probably Portuguese. That stuff is often more masculine, feminine. Probably also French and Russian and theoretically German. Although even certainly in Germany we also have this, but yeah, this is probably direct translation from Portuguese or Spanish. Carlos was it Brazil, right? Or anyway, Arch Linux crisis don't get 60 frames per second with Ryzen 3 1200. What? Why is that? Don't get? Digital Foundry made tests and even Windows 10 with something moments the frame rate drops below 60 frames. Really, seriously? So then probably hold my beer, I guess. So memory, the Sony VIP memory, I think it has 2 GB, I guess, probably. So yeah, the big challenge also will be web browser. In previous days I had here Conqueror running. In previous days the benefit was I could natively compile on the G5, and which we can still, also previous video if you're into this kind of things, we upgraded with an 2.5 gigahertz PowerPC G5, our dual core Mac G5, and so yeah, we can of course still do it. The problem is, of course, back in the day Conqueror and Firefox compiled on the G5. Even before the upgrade I had a dual core 2 gigahertz. Now it's dual core 2.5 gigahertz, and the problem is, and also why I really hate this software bloat, especially with Rust and Cargo and stuff. So previously you could compile Firefox probably on the G5, dual core 2 gigahertz, in probably 30 minutes, and certainly even Conqueror, like most of KDE, in 30 minutes, like a decade ago. Nowadays, even on the Ryzen, you need Rust and Cargo and a couple of other things, and Node.js, and it's hilarious, in my opinion, this dependency bloat. It's, yeah, it's thick and sickening. So, yeah, what else do we have? Also, we moved the camera for walking behind it, so probably for a slightly more improved perspective. Anyway, that's probably it of this failing 5.6%, 4,200 drop frames, even at this miserable bitrate. So what else? Crysis just used 2.4 CPU cores. Direct 10. Crysis very famous of games that can't run many PCs. Yeah, I'm totally aware of that. Just that that Crysis is also a decade old, so certainly I would have thought over when was it released, 2007 or something. But yeah, and then after a couple of years, of course, even some mediocre hardware already should run this somewhat. But certainly the problems, of course, it won't run, at least x86 Crysis will not run on the P3 nicely, because firstly we first need to write the 3D driver, which you need to share, like, and subscribe to motivate me for that, support me here for that. But otherwise, of course, the emulation would kill it, right? So if it is x86, you cannot just run this stuff. Even if you run it with Wine and QEMU, then performance with TCG, the tiny C generator or something, the code generator, certainly magnitude slower than that. Crysis everyone jokes cannot. Yeah, I'm totally aware of that joke. WebKit-based browsers are pigs to compile these days. Yeah, this is really set back in the day. But there you also see in KDE. By the way, fun fact: a decade ago I was a huge fan of KDE. Much preferred to accept. Yeah, nowadays I'm so tired and sick and tired of this bloat that I'm rather running Blackbox instead of. Because Blackbox just compiles even on the P3 within 5 minutes and not in 5 hours. And it's so ironic that my favorite browser of Conqueror, like small and snappy back in the day, Apple forked to WebKit, and a decade ago, KHTML of Conqueror, KDE fame, just compiled easily without much of a dependency issue. And now the big companies, there you see big company engineering, hundreds of engineers, uncontrolled, edit there, and at any dependency they can invent and find and put into everything in the kitchen sink, and then a decade later you can, with latest and greatest machines, barely keep this code base compiling because of all the freaking code bloat and dependencies. Any WebKit based, so yeah, this is really also, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe, because here on this channel we need to package Chromium for T2 in general, not only for the P3 but for all our AMD, Intel, Ryzen, Epic goodness. Chromium source is here 761 megabyte in size. It's hilarious. Should run, and also they even need what I said. I called this out before. It needs all these packaging tools, even depot tools of Google garbage and stuff. Should run instance Linux port of say Doom 3. Should it run, for instance, Linux port? What you meaning? The PS3 or is Doom 3 by the way the just released one or? Let's see, what do we have on the screen here? Can we also switch here to this? Don't have here some emails. Shouldn't show. Probably what the just released is probably Doom 3 or something came out the other day. So much Doom 3 is 2004. Interesting. What came just out here in 2020? I think something came just out yesterday, isn't it? Doom Eternal. Okay, so anyway, so much to that. Certainly need to get back into gaming. But Doom 3, yeah, so the problem is for greatest performance, if you run binary-only software with QEMU emulation, it will be a magnitude slower than it needs to be, like similar to Apple's Rosetta emulation, or in general, if you run QEMU, then you know what we're talking. And so yeah, you need a native port. So theoretically, there is, of course, a native port. Maybe in a couple of months or years, depending on how much time I can invest into this, maybe we can get an RSX GL driver running good enough for Quake Arena or maybe even Doom 3. Let's see. But certainly you need to spread the word to motivate me and build this channel, because can't do as much work each and every day just on this. Now we get Docker, other containers, etc. What you're saying, WebKit based, so many bugs. It gets even better with the new patches for glibc and Futix weight multiplier something. So now we scrolled there something away. Can this also finish compiling here? What do we have here? I think I missed some comments, maybe because direct Chromium source should run instance Linux port of say what you're saying. Chromium source is 6. Vulkan, amazing performance in games, even better with the new patches for glibc, Futix weight, multiplier for the Linux kernel. What you're saying, it gets even better. What you're talking? You mean about Vulkan DXVK performance, I guess. WebKit based, so many bugs, new good Docker, error, more code squared, was searchboard, DRM, can't get video programming, something low level. What do we have here? WebKit, Blink, more Google runtime engine. Anybody ever make a Linux port would run original? Make a Linux that would run on the, what you're saying, Michael Richmond. Ever make a Linux that would run on the original? You mean original? You mean like PlayStation 1 of MIPS stuff, right? It depends if it had an MMU. Wait a second, the first? Yes, first. Not sure if it has an MMU. Of course, then it's only UC-less, but yeah, the point is, you see even of this relatively high clocked 3 GHz hyper-threaded PowerPC performance is somewhat to be desired. Of course, a little bit the issue of IBM and Sony focusing here on the performance in terms of also, I'm using this wrong actually. Actually, I have the feeling we are swapping for linking or something as slow as it reacted. Yeah, so certainly here, as always, we can, I hope actually we are not running out of memory. It's still 142. We are running with some swap, so how much swap? I mean, even 100, but this is of course the intelligence that we would need to replicate and make even better in our own microkernel stuff, because seldomly use stuff of mapped code like even Xorg and whatnot. Pages can be swapped out here, 136 something megabyte used of the swap, and yet we are still using 142 in caches apparently, because the Linux kernel figures just in, of course it's not like intelligent, it's just like least recently used algorithms, and so just like it's not as used as in, and then we swap it out. And so yeah, I'm slightly wondering here, IO start, yeah, so this stuff, I start typing, it takes a while. So yeah, we have here some massive load 416, so this is massively swapping, as in, what is it even, for some reason, I guess swapping. And so yeah, this is CC1 plus of using virtual residential shared, actually 17, not too much, but yeah, something of that sort. You get the idea. And why theoretically this is why for a decade this is certainly time well spent and invested in decades of work of making all the stuff cross-compiling. It's a little bit sad that Intel had to do this Clear Linux, in my opinion. Clear Linux would have been a cool name for T2. I'm somewhat tempted, should we rename it? Actually, I really like this, the Clear Linux, not too bad of a name, a little bit. Intel could have actually joined our forces, in my opinion. Time much better spent in our amazing cross-compile setup here of T2. Cross-compiling for everything, PowerPC, MIPS, RISC-V, and everything basically. And if you want to donate something to compile on some Alpha or Intenium, feel free. But yeah, 1001 Linux distribution, certainly not amazing. And T2 with a Rock Linux base, one of the early hundreds, if not early 50 or something. So this is why I can here lean out of the window and say many of the 1,000 newcomers, certainly not time well spent. Certainly look for the day that Intel abandons Clear Linux. The name not too bad. In the meantime, I often say like raw T2 is of course vanilla and actually aka raw like sushi, not unpatched, just like how the upstream stuff is, just configured and packaged repository, set up and documented how to build and compile and clean and dependencies and cross-compile all this stuff. And yeah, certainly if you see this performance, and this is a higher performance, right? If you compare this to a Spark Station, 40 megahertz, or RISC-V board, or SG Octane, and so on, this is super fast, and yet compiling, yeah, you see it live here on this channel. So from this point, certainly time well spent making T2 the most amazing embedded distribution. I really wonder why people still use something else. And today I made it even greater, cross-compiling C++ and even more details now, more amazingly. And hey, we're probably, are we? No, we're not installing. It looked so fast. Anyway, so some more comments. 2 megabyte of memory. What do we have here? PS1. So yeah, this is time well spent, because even on fast hardware of vintage and retroware, cross-compiling so much more amazing. Actually, there's some Lua compilation going on of good old-fashioned Lua fame. So yeah, unfortunately, to make the most, because certainly not all of you want to sit at home and emerge here from source stuff, just GTK stuff, not even a web browser. Web browser might be compiling from source for a week, rough guesstimate. But yeah, so cross-compiling infrastructure in T2, time well spent. We only need to improve it even more. Maybe you want to try it and send in some patches and get maybe even Rust and Firefox bootstrapping there. So certainly would be amazing and greatly accelerate and help getting a web browser onto your PS3. So yeah, I guess that's it for today. Doesn't really make much sense to talk even longer over this compilation live stream, because not only do I want to go home, but also it's still compiling. But hey, we have people watching, that is certainly amazing. People enjoying the streams, that is certainly amazing. Thanks for sharing, liking and subscribing. Thanks for tuning in. I hope to see you next time for the next recurring enablement here of all our stuff. So what else do we have here? But for PowerPC, there's attempt to port Reactor S, no success either. What about Android? There are tons of games for this thing. x86 ports works great. PrimeOS, Prince Lux replacement, mean Linux for dummies. Yeah, we have here T2, right? I hope. So what do we need for the ISO? For the ISO, I fixed, so some stuff we fixed. So basically, the only thing, well, theoretically, we should probably fix grub2 cross-compiling. Just, we don't really need grub2, but theoretically T2 wants this right now for the bootloader for PowerMax, because the same ISO, just as it is, also boots on Apple G5s, which, fun fact, I probably should also test. And the only other thing I think we have all things now in really pretty shape. As I said, if I make this any nicer, you couldn't afford it anymore. And the only other thing probably is creating somehow, like maybe we create a shell package that doesn't have much, because we need, for you to play along at home and making it like installable, like without guru meditation intervention, is creating a kbootconf in etc boot for petit boot to automatically have a boot entry there. So yeah, probably this is also the small details. You have done all the 99% of the work, and now it's just like some boot entry and and grub2 cross compiling of whatever's going on there. But yeah, and then of course, there you see how much time does all of this stuff takes, except sitting here and enjoying the day with an amazing keyboard and amazing YouTube audience. Yeah, the 1% of where do we put in some kboot kernel entry, which we only right now in the kboot stuff we only need for the PS3, but then it certainly would be the most amazing Linux for the PS3. Leave me in the comments what you want to see, emulators, games, you name it. What kind of vintage hardware we should support here, except certainly you want to vote for the PS3, I guessed it already. But on top of all of this, certainly testing on the G5, because certainly if we publish an ISO, it certainly should boot with grub on the G5 for maximum geekness and support and compatibility. Yeah, this still is still compiling. We are still in certainly easily 1 hour into the stream. That certainly is a great time to end the stream. I hope you learned something and enjoyed it. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you share, like, and subscribe. Hope to see you soon for all the next videos to come here. I like to see SGI stuff here. That certainly, I also have actually a SGI, another tape video there of, actually, spoiler alert, of SGI tape, because I had the tape video. This tape is that you already learned something for the trusty subscribers who are here for each and every stream and stuff. The tape, what many people don't know, this SGI firmware has support for digital audio tape reading, so stay tuned for digital audio tape reading stuff. And of course, it didn't just work. I tested it already. It didn't just work for me, which is actually the only reason. Previous video, this digital audio tape video, yeah, so this open source code I found for this didn't really quite work. Maybe it's endiness as per usual. And actually, I got something else for those. So a tiny little spoiler alert for those. If you don't want to see spoiler alerts, then tune out now. Otherwise, if you want to see a spoiler, I got something else for you to play along at home. So probably you want to share, like, and subscribe for all this goodness to come in all our retro, vintage, and modern microkernel and modern code enablement and code that we need to write for all this MIDI and PowerPC RISC-V, certainly of ULX3S. And another shout out, probably need to make a dedicated video, but this ULX3S is now on order there on short supply. If you are looking into FPGA goodness of all those previous videos, then a little shout out of this amazing people there of Radiana. So that's it for today. I hope you learned something. Transferring files would be cool. What transferring files do you mean? You mean publishing the ISO image or something else? And otherwise, let's see. Yeah, so we are still compiling, but at least we committed this already. And otherwise, yeah, pretty stroke with this progress. PS3 Linux, certainly T2 Linux here of also, yeah, wrong keyboard. T2 SDE certainly never was as amazing as on this build, so this will probably, for maximum amazingness and polishing, I probably need to come up with an actual, because yeah, if you have amazing artwork, or actually two people started to send in ASCII artwork stuff that certainly was totally amazing. More of this, we're not yet using it, but if you want to work on artwork stuff and backgrounds, this is just some Google artwork with T2 SDE photoshopped in there, but certainly probably for maximum ISO perfection, probably we should ship with a couple of amazing artwork there. And here live on this channel, so this actually finished compiling. We can actually check how long this took here in var ADM packages of FSU UA, or how even to pronounce this. So this actually took a whopping, actually not too long, it only took 40 minutes here. Turn off if you can read this here live on this camera view. So do I have still coffee? Coffee is also empty. But so yeah, I wonder if it works. So and yeah, so we will test this another day, because this live stream probably we should keep it under 1 hour that we just crossed. So FSUA, does it even come up of also something trying to start? And hello, do we get something of column invalid array format of? Actually, it wants LLVM pipe, so no hardware OpenGL driver. So yeah, so much to Amiga emulator. Even that needs a oops, darn it. Yeah, so much to that. Probably need to work on our GL goodness there for even Amiga. So then probably Monkey Islands, not only on the FPGA, but DOSBox. Anyway, so much to that. And what did I miss? Have SGI to do with the PS3 stuff? It's nothing to do with that. It's just the regular background scenery. Thanks for watching. You're late, but highly appreciated. You can rewind and watch the stream there in the digital on demand YouTube library. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you liked it, learned something, and I hope to see you soon for all this fun stuff.